This is Anu and you're watching Anu for Nurses. I hope the previous video was informative and you have watched it. Today we are going to discuss the pituitary disease condition. After the introductory portions, if you come to this video, it would be more better. Gigantism and dwarfism. These both conditions are related to growth hormone. That's basically the growth of a person. Gigantism means very tall. That's excessive growth hormone that's causing significantly above average height. For example, 7 to 9 feet height. That happens in childhood period is known as gigantism. Usually tumors can be one reason for this and surgery can remove the cause, and one drug we usually use is called octreotide or sandostatin. That name, if you remember, that's good. And decreased growth hormone in childhood can lead to dwarfism. There are some more reasons for dwarfism, but you remember in relation to growth hormone here. So decreased or hyperfunction of growth hormone causing dwarfism, and hyperfunction will be leading to gigantism. I'll give you one scenario now. A 30-year-old lady with amenorrhea or anemia and her urine pregnancy test is negative. She has an infant and her previous delivery complicated with postpartum hemorrhage. On examination, her BP was 90/56 mm of mercury with decreased TSH, FSH, ACTH and LH. Doctor prescribed her lifelong hormone replacement. Can you guess the condition? You must have heard this in your OBG. Postpartum hemorrhage leading to pituitary ischemia. Yes, it is Sheehan syndrome. Sheehan syndrome and some other conditions will be leading to a state called panhypopituitarism, and this is leading to a disease, Simon's disease or pituitary cachexia. Sheehan syndrome is just one cause for this condition called Simon's disease or pituitary cachexia. Here there will be panhypopituitarism. That means all the hormones production will be affected, and this will be leading to total disturbance of endocrine system. Other reasons other than this Sheehan syndrome are some surgery or radiation you have done in the brain, or stroke, infections like tuberculosis or syphilis, some inflammations, and in infants we can say it can be congenital or due to birth asphyxia. Anything that's leading to panhypopituitarism is called Simon's disease or pituitary cachexia. And remember the term Sheehan syndrome. This is associated with postpartum hemorrhage leading to pituitary ischemia. Now I'll show you some pictures. Person with long jaw, large nose and lips, large hands and feet, joint pain or arthritis, very high BP, high blood sugar, deep voice, hearing problem and vision problem. All these are the features of a condition called, yes, acromegaly. So increased growth hormone in adulthood or after the closure of epiphyseal plate is called acromegaly. We can recall the features: large feet and hands, large nose and lips, long jaw, hearing and vision problem, deep voice, hyperglycemia, hypertension and joint pain. Usually the reason for acromegaly are pituitary adenoma or other tumors, and surgical removal is the management. Now, what are the conditions associated with posterior pituitary? I hope you remember posterior pituitary is not producing any hormone, it's just storing oxytocin and ADH. So the conditions we are going to hear is related to ADH. Increased and decreased ADH, that leads to what condition? Increased ADH, that is leading to the condition called SIADH, and decreased ADH will be leading to DI or diabetes insipidus. How will you remember this? Is a frequent MCQ. And increased, more number of letters, SIADH, more letters are there. This This is syndrome of inappropriate antidiuretic hormone, and you can also remember as syndrome of increased antidiuretic hormone, but the actual expansion is syndrome of inappropriate antidiuretic hormone. More number of letters, so it is increased ADH, and decreased ADH leading to diabetes insipidus. Let's see what is it. SIADH or increased ADH. Your pituitary will be producing more antidiuretic hormone. Diuresis preventing hormone is more. What happens? Urine output will comes down. So this water will be retained in your body. What are the causes? Why this happening? The major reasons. It can be some tumors or lung cancer, especially small cell lung cancer. This is very important, especially I've seen in many prometric, MOH hard, and even in NCLEX exams and all, this question frequently coming. Small cell lung carcinoma is one reason for increased ADH production. Then head injury, some infections, especially pulmonary infections, and some drugs. Typically drugs that's causing increased production of ADH are vincristine, cyclophosphamide, and carbamazepine. Remember, vincristine, cyclophosphamide, and carbamazepine are some drugs that causes increased production of ADH. Now let's see the features of SIADH. Actually, patient will be asymptomatic. There will be initial water retention due to decreased urine output, but that activates secondary natriuretic mechanism and restore euvolemia. So initial period, you can see there will be decreased urine output, water retention, but leading to euvolemia. So decreased urine output that leading to increased specific gravity is one feature, and there will be hypervolemia initially leading to hypertension, and sodium level will come down. Very important feature to remember in all these conditions are early hyponatremia will be very evident. So early signs of hyponatremia will be the features of SIADH. That they are headache, lethargy, nausea, vomiting, and late signs will be seizures. Remember, for hyponatremia and hypernatremia, for both, seizures is considered to be a late sign. Serum osmolality will come down. What you can do is give salt. The 3% NS can be given, and if there is hypovolemia, diuretics can be given, and stop all fluids. This is all about SIADH. Now, diabetes insipidus. It is decreased antidiuretic hormone, but it can be cranial or nephrogenic in origin. That means cranial directly, it's due to some hypothalamus problem or pituitary problem. There will be decreased antidiuretic hormone that's available, or there is adequate ADH available, but there is decreased response to ADH by the kidney. That's called nephrogenic diabetes insipidus. Where this ADH acting on? This is on the collecting ducts. Now let's see what are the causes of cranial. So it can be something related to the hypothalamus that's causing this, that's some head injury, or some infections like meningitis, encephalitis, or even TB can be a reason for this. Some tumors or surgery that to the hypothalamus or in the brain, that can be another reason. And decreased response to ADH, this we already said, this is called nephrogenic diabetes insipidus. Here the reasons can be genetic mutations or some drugs, especially the drug called lithium is considered to be the very important reason for nephrogenic diabetes insipidus, not that point. And some chronic kidney disease. This is not considered to be a major reason, but over time, if there is some chronic kidney problems, it can lead to not responding to the ADH. And some metabolic derangement or electrolyte imbalances, especially associated with the potassium and calcium. You can say it is decreased potassium and increased calcium, or hypokalemia and hypercalcemia. Don't think that this simple electrolyte imbalance will lead to diabetes insipidus. It's all about a long time metabolic derangement. And what will be the clinical features? Typically, there will be a lot of urine output, right? Polyuria. So, definitely, this polyuria will be leading to thirst, polydipsia, and leading to dehydration, hypernatremia, and decreased urinosmolality, and patient will feel dizzy. Orthostatic hypotension. Remember, polyuria, polydipsia, leading to decreased urinosmolality, dehydration, hypernatremia, and orthostatic hypotension. The important test what we are doing here is called water deprivation test or desmopressin stimulation test. Why this name is, you will be depriving the patient of food or fluids for 8 hours, and you will be checking urinosmolality at the end of this, and you will administer desmopressin or ADH, and again after 8 hours you will be rechecking the urinosmolality. In case of cranial or nephrogenic diabetes insipidus, after 8 hours of water deprivation, the urinosmolality will be low. But in case of cranial diabetes insipidus, after giving ADH, the urinosmolality will go high. But in nephrogenic, even though ADH is available, kidney is not responding, so the urinosmolality will come down. If it is a normal patient, just polyuria was the problem, then there will be high urinosmolality after 8 hours of water deprivation. So don't give ADH and no need to continue the test. This is water deprivation test. The management. Important thing is correct the cause. What's the reason? The reason has to be corrected. And replace the hormone since that's a deficiency. Very simple. Desmopressin can be given. That's all. And winding up for today, and tomorrow we'll be continuing with another interesting topic.